Hello, today I am going to show you how to do a simple stained glass repair. So, a friend had this simple sun catcher that the butterflies had fallen apart from each other. You can see where the joints had fallen off. Now, in the description page, I will describe the supplies that I use to fix this if you'd like to see what I've used. And as an Amazon affiliate, I get a little bit if you end up clicking on my link. That's it. So I used a emery board to sand down the black patina that already existed on the butterfly areas that I wanted to fix. Now, yes, I could have removed the solder joints completely and the foil completely from the wings, and started all over again with it, but it really didn't call for that for this project. So what I did was I just sanded raw the solder joints near where I was doing the fix. And so now I'm wrapping it with 7/32 foil. And because it looks like it's not quite wide enough to match the foiling that's already there, I put another layer on. So I did one layer in the front, matching up the front, the profile of the front foil. And then I put another layer and matched up what was on the other side. And then with my little probe, I smoothed it all down to try to blend the new foiling with the old. So I'm like pushing it in at places and smoothing over areas. And remember, once I put the solder on, it'll have that curved bulge look that a solder joint has. So right now it's going to look pretty flat because it's just foil on glass. So I needed to sand down a little bit more. Now, obviously, you could use different kinds of sandpaper for this. It's just that these emery board nail file things are just really handy, and I always have them hanging around anyway. And they just, because they have a little bit of cushion between the layers of the emery board, they just are really easy to use. So that's why I often will just grab a nail file. So here's another area of one of the butterflies that needed to have its wing fixed. And so I put it around one side and then smoothed it down the best I could, and then put another layer around the other side of the wing. Just kind of squished it down and then pushed it down so it's really smooth and kind of like made them meet together. So the thing with foil is you can kind of tuck it under and make like little folds in it if you need to. It's pretty forgiving, so you can get it to match what you want. So here's another butterfly that needs some assistance. So as you see, this top part of its wing doesn't have any foil left on it because it completely was torn off when the poor guy had its accident, whatever caused them to fall apart. And if there's some loose foiling, you can always take that off. You would probably want to remove any loose foil by where the damage is, because you want the foil to actually stick to the glass. And obviously, if it's like hanging out in midair, it's not going to stick again. So you'd want to peel that part off and then start with a newer area. And I did clean the glass before I started foiling again, because I didn't want to be trying to stick foil to like old sticky foil or dust or grime or anything. So I did clean it some, and then of course with the light sanding, I even sanded the glass a little bit where it was a little gooey. Now, as you can see, this is an area where the joint is, where one of the wings of a different butterfly kind of went into that one. And so, yes, I could just like clean it really well and then take my solder iron and heat up the joint that's there and remove all the solder that's already there built up. But I didn't think I really needed to do that for this. They seem to go together quite nicely, so I just left the original solder connection that was there. Because remember, I said this is a simple repair. And these are not overly fancy stained glass pieces to begin with. So it's a pretty simple way of getting a little sun catcher back together again. So again, I wrapped both sides of this wing, and then I am smoothing the foil best I can where I can do it. I'm using my little file at times too. If it looked like the area right next to the foil was patinaed and it didn't have any raw solder, I did sand a little bit more off so that I would have a nice clean solder joint. Now, I used my probe, and at times I even used pliers to try to open these little channels of solder where it was connected. And what we were looking at could have been some of the foil still left on the solder joint. But anyways, so I put my butterflies on one of my boards that had silicone on it, and I used thumbtacks and pinned them to the board as best I could so that they're in the place that I want them to be. Now I used my gel flux that I like to use, and some 4060 tin lead solder, and I am now just very simply soldering over those new areas so that it's nice and soldered again. So I will have to do both sides, of course, and the edges to try to blend it all together. And that yellow thing on the right side there is my exhaust system. So that's what that yellow thing, that's sucking up the majority of the fumes, so it's healthier. So there's not a whole lot. This project really was basically 4 joints that needed to be reinforced and redone. Now I'm taking the thumbtacks off, or the push pins off, and then turning my project over, and you can see that there needs to be solder added to the back of those 4 solder joints also. So that was pretty simple. Just look at them, make sure I got a little piece to take off, but that was a pretty simple soldering job. I look at the other side, make sure there's no weirdness going on. I take it to the bathroom and with soap and water kind of scrub off the flux so that, and I use Dawn dishwashing soap and sometimes just regular hand soap to help get rid of the flux residue. So now I have my project done, and as you notice, the original solder looks pretty black, so I'm figuring black patina should be added to the silver solder joints so that they don't like look alien, so they kind of blend with what's there. So I'm pouring some of my go-to black patina. And sometimes I use a spray gun because I'm doing a large project, but this is so small. I'm just doing little touch-ups here and there. So I'm using a Q-tip to just spread on some of the black patina exactly where I want it, and make sure that you always wear gloves and safety masks, and because you want to have ventilation going on. Patina is not a really safe thing at all to get on you or breathe in or anything like that. So you do want to be safe. And I'm adding patina wherever I did the solder joints, and also there might be little areas where I sanded with my emery boards, so I will have to go over those areas also and make the silver now be closer to the black like the rest of the butterflies. And I will, of course, turn it over because I want to do all the edges and the back side, because this is a window hanging thing. People are going to see it from inside, people are going to see it from outside, and you want to have both sides looking good. And as you notice, I just used one side of one Q-tip for this. It really doesn't take, you don't use like 20,000 Q-tips or special brushes or anything like that. You know, basically I'm more like dripping on the patina, so it just sits there and kind of goes into the solder joint or whatever it does to make it so that the solder joint turns dark. Then I pick up my project and just check the sides of it, make sure I don't have any glaring areas that I missed. Because remember, I sanded the edge a little bit. So there's going to be little areas that are sanded that needed to be patinaed. Then I'm going to let this sit for a little while, and like maybe 15 minutes, and then wash it off, and it's done. So you can, if you want to, wax it or polish it or do whatever you want to. I don't think this had any wax or polish on it. It didn't seem like it, so I wasn't going to worry about that. But here they are, hanging up and looking all happy again. And thanks for watching. See you next time.